Hey yo guys, what's good, what's happening, and what's going on? All right, you know, it's kind of a serious thing going on right now. There's two things I don't like talking about on YouTube and I think should not be discussed on YouTube. One of them is religion. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different religion. There's no reason to talk about it. It's a good way to segregate people and cause hate in the comments. And number two is politics. If you don't believe me, go watch a political channel on YouTube. The ones that were really hot when, like for instance in the US, when they were doing the debates, are gone now because Trump won. And they have nothing to talk about. So they're gone, right? And they're gone for a reason. Just like up here in the north, we have a bunch of channels that are talking politics. And right now, there's a bunch that are supporting the conservatives. If the conservatives win next round, all those groups that are supporting the conservatives will just disappear. And then it'll become a whole new group of people running. Anyway, you just don't talk about politics. Because when you go into the comments, you see a whole slur of hate. Some support, but it's other people's opinions. And it causes nothing but animosity, and it's not worth it. However, what I want to talk about is this whole Canada versus US bullshit going on right now. This has gone beyond politics. This has gone... I don't understand where this has gone. I don't get it. Like, if you think about it, it's gotten to the point where, like, I'm at work and I have a lot of friends in the US. I still have those friends. Even despite the tariffs that came out, who cares? I don't care. Who cares? Are the tariffs being used right? Hard no. They're being used poorly, like mismanaged big time, because it doesn't make sense to tariff something your country needs to survive. It would be like if Canada put an import tax on gasoline from the US. An import tax, I mean a tariff. So right now the way it works is we don't really produce gasoline up here. We don't really refine a lot of our own oil because right now in Canada there's interprovincial trade barriers where, like for instance, builders from Quebec can come into Ontario and assist in building, but builders in Ontario are not permitted to be contracted to go to Quebec. Same country, right? Like I'm pretty sure in the US, somebody from a builder in Kentucky can go to Louisiana and help build office buildings or housing and stuff. It's not like that in Canada. It's so freaking broken. It blows my mind. One bill, Bill C-69, if that bill was abolished, we could have interprovincial trades. But the problem is we can't. So what we do right now is we send the oil from Alberta down to the US. You guys refine it into gasoline, plastics, whatever you guys do with it. And then we buy that gasoline back from you and bring it into Canada because we don't refine our own oil. There are refineries out in BC and such, but to get it there, it's kind of a pain in the ass. So we got to get rid of that barrier. So right now we rely on the US to purchase gasoline. We can't produce our own, at least in enough bulk to provide to all of our people who drive cars, right? We can't do it. So the way you don't use a tariff is when you rely on another nation to provide you materials to help your country grow. So we rely on the US for gasoline. If we were to put a 25% tariff on gasoline, that means we still need that gasoline. It's just people are going to pay 25% more for it. And the government is going to get, our government, not the US government, our government. Right now, the liberals that are in charge will get the 25% tariff in their coffers to use as they please. And that's how it is in the US. Back in 2018, 2019, when Trump was in power, he imposed the exact same bullshit tariffs on Canada. 25% on steel, aluminum, lumber, and oil. The tariffs lasted 330 days until he realized, holy shit, we can't be doing this. Because when the US decided to ramp up production of steel and aluminum, the prices shot through the roof. Because unlike Canada, we do a lot of our aluminum fabrications or smelting or refining, whatever the hell you want to call the term. A lot of it is done with green power. So the production cost is down because we basically pull from Niagara Falls, or from wind turbines, solar energy, green power, renewable energy. It's not from using burning coal and so on and so forth. You know, we're trying to be this super green, hence the carbon tax freaking country up here. It's kind of annoying because we're not the problem with the carbon footprint, yet we get taxed for it. Theoretically, we're in a net deficit for carbon emissions versus carbon recycling due to how many freaking trees this country has. And not just like oaks and maples and shit. I'm talking about like the pine trees and all that, that even filter carbon monoxide from the air during the winter months when all the leaves have shredded and the trees have gone to sleep because they just can't function in that extreme cold. The pine trees thrive on. They don't give two shits about winter. They just do what they gotta do to get did, you know? They're designed for this climate and they filter out a lot of the carbon emissions, putting us in a net deficit of a carbon footprint. However, I think we're the only country on the planet that has a carbon tax, so I guess you gotta be friggin' the best at something, and for us it's getting destroyed in taxes. But no, the use of tariffs and stuff you guys need is dumb, all right? I've talked about that before. But the thing that's been getting me lately is I don't watch hockey. Yeah, I know I'm Canadian, right? And I don't freaking watch hockey. Oh my goodness, guys. Holy shit. Cover your hearts, don't have a heart attack. I'm serious, I don't watch hockey. I don't watch a lot of organized sports. A lot of Americans tell me, oh, did you see the game last night? Ha ha ha. We beat the Canadian team, we beat the Canadian. Oh, Stanley Cup's in the US. Ha ha ha. Of course, Stanley Cup's in the US. Because my opinion on friggin' these organized leagues, these NHL, CFL for Canadian Football League, and then you guys have the friggin', what is it? The NFL down in the US. It's all about money. It's honestly all about money, right? You think about how much these players are making, and then you think about how much money a hockey game. I'm just going to use hockey because we don't have NFL in Canada. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, Canada never won a Super Bowl. Well, you know, you kind of can't win if you don't play. So that's like the dumbest thing ever I've heard. But what gets me is like the NHL. I don't see Canada ever winning the cup because in my mind, a cup champion in the US, the cup's going to make more money there than it will ever in Canada. If you look up online how much money Canadian hockey leagues actually turn over versus say a game in like LA or New York, there's such a difference in how much money is being made per game when you go from Canada to the US. So logically, it's better off to have it in the US. And like I'll tell my friends, I'm like, just watch the game. Like when it's a Canadian team versus a US team, during the exhibition matches, things look pretty normal. Like they're just out there playing, showing skill, doing good. You know, Toronto does really good during the exhibitions, but then just fumbles the bag during the cup if they make it. But you watch the penalties being called and how they favor the American teams. It's because the cup makes money, more money in the US. And that's why I hate organized sports. Because to me, it's always rigged. You know, some sports are really good at kind of hiding it. But then you have that Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight where they blatantly show you that it's just rigged and it's just two idiots dancing in the ring for a bunch of money. But I'm just saying, like, to me, organized sports, waste of time. But what got me about it was what's been transpiring recently at the hockey games. Freaking the booing of national anthems. What the frick, man? What the frick? Wasn't it like not long ago when in Calgary, Alberta, during a Flames game, I think it was Flames and the New York Rangers were playing. And during the US national anthem, something went wonky with the audio system and it cut out. And Canadians picked up their hats, got off their seats, and started finishing the national anthem in their seats. You know, honoring that the Americans are now in Canada and going to play hockey together. Right on. Let's finish that national anthem because the equipment fumbled. So us Canadians pick up our seats and we friggin' get after it, you know? And now we're booing the Americans because of trade tariffs that probably won't last because they're not going to be financially sustainable for the US. Like I said, I talked about that. It happened before. Shit went crazy. It was costing them too much money and they couldn't keep up production. The US had no choice. It was actually cheaper to import with the tariffs from Canada than it was to hire these people at the expensive rates and try and overdrive them to produce at the needs. We've already talked about this. Canada is the population of California. The US dwarfs us in population. Canada would have a lot more population if a lot of our land mass was actually habitable. But seeing how it's all like friggin' tundra, snow, and, you know, death and decay and the opposite of hell, it's like a frozen wasteland. You don't want to live there. You'll die to death. True story. But we don't have the population of the US. When you have a lot of population, you have a lot of demand. You have a lot of new infrastructure coming in. You have a lot of upkeep to do. You need a lot of raw materials. You need a lot of stuff. Here in Canada, we don't have that population problem. Well, we do. Wait, let me back that truck up. We do. We do have a housing problem, a big housing problem, because we kind of, in 2 years, brought in like friggin' 2.5 million people and had nowhere to put them. So holiday in, have fun, boys. But yeah, we don't have problems with mining and sending resources down there. But it's going to cost now, and it's not going to, and we're not paying that tariff. That's, you guys are, when you import aluminum, when you import steel, that shit is getting, you're paying that 25% tariff to your Republican government, and they're doing with it as they would do with it, whatever they do with it. A couple of my American friends said that they're getting some sort of a check in the mail from the government. I don't know what the hell they call it. Stimulus check, I think was the term they used. And that's all right. You know, if that's what the revenue is going to generate. I don't know how they can already guarantee that. One of my friends told me it was like $5,000 that everybody in the US is getting, or every family or some shit. They're getting a stimulus check for $5,000. And I figured, I told him, like, bro, that can't be from the tariffs. The tariffs just freaking happened. There's no way that on day one, which was yesterday, the guys, this is being filmed on a Wednesday. There's no way that on day one that these tariffs produced that much income that the government can come around and say, oh yeah, we're just going to give you $5,000 each to like what, like 700 million people? Like, I don't even know what the population of the US is. Hey, maybe this hockey puck on top of my fridge does. What's the population of the USA?
In 2024, the population of the United States of America was 340,110,988.
Okay, so I kind of overshot. I said 700 million, it's 340 million. My bad, guys, my bad. See, I don't know nothing about your country. I've never been there. I honestly can say that. I've flown over it when I went to Mexico and Dominican, but I've never touched foot on US soil. I've seen it from, you know, across the ditch when I was in Fort Erie. I was going to go there this May, but our Canadian dollar is tanked so freaking bad that I don't really want to go there, because what would have been a $700 trip will end up being $2,100. So I was like, yeah, $2,100. I could buy myself a pretty nice video card for the gaming rig instead of going to New York. Yeah, I'm good. I'll just stay in Canada. I'm all right with that. But anyway, things will change. Things will get better, you know, hopefully. Because another dumb thing that happened, all right, this whole booing of the national anthems. So I get a lot of, I don't know why, but I get a lot of suggested YouTube content from Canadian news outlets and all that. Probably because I can't get Canadian news on Facebook due to the fact that our amazing premier or prime minister, I should say, went and banned all news outlets on, I don't know if it's like that in the US, but in Canada, you can't post news links. You don't see news in your feeds. You don't see anything. All that shit is blockaded. You're not allowed to see it. And we definitely cannot see any American news. All that is also blockaded. However, YouTube don't give two shits. So I can get all my news through YouTube. And that's how I will review the news. And I think it started during the Ukraine war. I got on there, started looking that stuff up. And then all of a sudden, during the elections, it figured, hey, well, if you're interested in that Ukraine war, maybe you might be interested in the little tiff between a vice president who poorly ran the country and a guy who used to run the country. And so it showed me the Trump-Kamala bullshit. And then it started showing me the Pierre Poilievre and Trudeau and sellout Singh bullshit. And then now it's just showing me non-stop political stuff that I almost want to reset my YouTube so I can get back on track and just watch Rust content. But I came across a video the other day that really concerned me. You know, there's Prime Minister Trudeau talking about, well, it has come. The tariffs are here. We have 25% tariffs on Canadian steel, Canadian lumber, and Canadian aluminum. Blah, 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 blah. We're going to lose jobs. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. There's going to be tariffs on imported cars. All this other bullshit. And he's like, as Canadians, we know we're strong. We know we're resilient. We need to elbows up and fight back. And we're going to pull dollar for dollar tariffs. And it's going to become economically stressful. But I know you can do it. And I know come the election, you'll pick the right person. And remember, as we handle this, we love our Americans, but we probably will boo your national anthem at the friggin' hockey games. And I'm like, holy shit, don't friggin' go. You're the leader of the country and you're pulling this, you know? Like, Trump has said a lot of dumb shit on the air. I've seen him say a lot of dumb shit on the air. I've seen him do a lot of dumb shit on the air. Holy crap. Friggin' buddy from the UK hands him a letter. He's looking at, oh yeah, that's very nice. Here, can you read this paragraph? And buddy reads the paragraph, and it was like an invitation to go to the UK and sit with the prince. It's like, oh my God, why were you not able to read that, bud? Are you actually illiterate? What's going on? But maybe he wears glasses. He wasn't wearing glasses that day, probably because he thinks he looks like a friggin' bookworm nerd when he wears them. I don't know. Maybe he just couldn't read the print. Who knows? But it seriously made him look illiterate when he's playing it off that he read it, but he had no idea what the hell's going on. But out of all the things that I've heard Trump say, I've never actually heard him say, next time you're at a hockey game, boo the Canadian national anthem. You guys did do it, mind you. That's, that's the way it is. Apparently our governments, the Canadian government and the US government, are setting the civilians up to fight each other. I don't know why. We've never done that before. Like, not too long ago, Canada sent a bunch of water bombers to California to help try and put out your fires. 9/11, US airspace was shut down after the attacks on the Twin Towers. And Canada redirected all your flights into Canada territory, landed your planes, and took care of the passengers until it was safe to get them back on the plane and send them home. We showed max hospitality. The floods in New Orleans, we were there to help you guys. Every single freaking war minus, I think, I think we're part of Afghanistan. I think it was the Vietnam War only, was the only war that we didn't partake with you guys in. And after talking to a lot of my friends in the US military, they're like, yeah, well, we don't blame you. That war was kind of a shitstorm. That war was complete mess. Like, we don't blame you guys for not getting involved in that one. But every other war, we were by your sides, fighting with you and getting the job done, And all of a sudden, now we're booing your national anthem. You're booing our national anthem. People on Facebook, like, I got a lot of friends from the US on Facebook that are posting derogatory shit towards Canada. I got a lot of Canadian friends posting derogatory shit towards Americans. And I'm just like, how do we come to this? How do we come to this? Where did this come from? How are we being manipulated like this? Guys, 2020, we were manipulated into a lockdown to put a face diaper on and freaking, and we fell for it. And then after, when everything came out about COVID and all that shit, everybody was like, son of a bitch, They got us. And we're letting them get us again. We're letting them get us again. We're letting them turn one another on each other. I just don't see the agenda. I don't see how this works. Like, is this another social experiment? Let's see if we can control the population. Are both governments in on it? Like, at the end of the night, does Trudeau call Trump and they sit on the edges of their beds kicking their fucking feet up like little 13-year-old girls talking on the phone like, hello, Trumpy. Oh, hey, Trudy. How you doing, bud? Oh, you know, we're doing pretty good down here in America. How you doing up there in Canada? Oh, you know, she's a bit cold, frig. But we're doing all right. Oh, man, did you see what I said about you? Oh, did you see what I said about you? Oh, I know, it was so good, eh? Look at how those little idiot civilians are picking it up and fighting each other. Like, is that what's going on? Is that what is going on right now? Are they doing this for a damn social experiment? Is that what's going on? I don't know. I've used every resource at my disposal to try to see through the smoke and figure out what is going on. And my end game is that this is another social experiment. There's something happening, and they are testing the waters to see how the US population, the Canada population will act, because we've always been buddies. Canada and the US, always been buddies, you know? Never had issues. Now all of a sudden, out of the blue, we have issues. Like, it's only been, what, 3 weeks since we've had issues. Before that, we're buddies. We're all friends. And now you go into any post on Facebook, and it's just people, Canadians ripping on America, America ripping on Canada. You know, it's insane. It's pure freaking insanity. And nobody's taken a minute to take a step back and look at the big picture and go, what the fuck just happened? What's really going on? Yeah, I know I'm swearing on this episode. I haven't sworn in a long time. I'm in a state of mind right now where something's going on. I've tried, like I said, used every resource at my disposal to try and decipher what are they doing and what is the end game. And I'm baffled. I can't figure it out. There's no point to this. Why would you pick a fight with an ally that's been there through thick and thin, had your back all the time, and then all of a sudden now you're like, oh yeah, they've been taking advantage of us. Oh yeah, these guys are assholes. Yeah, we're done with this. We're done with this. You know? And it's like, no, we haven't been taking advantage of you. We set up a trade deal with you. With actually, you know, we had that US, Canada, Mexico alliance trade, the USCM or whatever the frig it was called. The USCMA, I think it was, or UMCA trade agreement that Trump set up pre-Biden. And yeah, it's just, I don't understand how we got to this point and what the end game is going to be. Like, I get that Trump wants Canada, the same reason why Trump wants the mineral deal with Zelensky, and the same reason why Trump wanted to roll military into Greenland and to take it over. Let's face it, Canada, Greenland, Ukraine, we have what the US needs, and that's precious minerals like uranium, zinc, everything they need to modernize their country into the next generation of basically self-sustainability. You know, friggin' Elon Musk has this big power plant idea, but those power cells ain't gonna run themselves. They need precious minerals that the US cannot get. They don't appear in the US areas. They can't be mined out of the US. Therefore, go after the mineral rich countries. How we're gonna annex Canada, make it the 51st state. We're going to roll the military into Greenland and just occupy it and strip mine it, you know. Here's Zelensky. We'll help you out. We'll roll in boots on ground in Ukraine and start mining operations, and you'll be protected because Putin will never throw missiles at a US mining facility, because then they'll have to face our wrath. But in return, you know, here's the deal. We keep the resources. Like, I get that point. I get that. There is a plan for growth, but it's just, that's the only thing I can think of. Turning the citizens on one another, it's like they're trying to get us to turn on each other so a war is valid between Canada and the US. That was another solution I came up with. And I don't like that solution because that's just dumb. Why would we fight each other? We've been buddies, like I said, we've been buddies forever. All of a sudden now we're just going to pick up guns and start shooting each other. Come on, pull up. You know, and then you got our premiers that are doing crazy things. I'm just going to use the one in Ontario. I don't know what the other ones are doing in the other provinces, but like it's been on the headlines in the US everywhere. Premier Doug Ford threatening to cut off power to 1.5 million people in the US. Yeah, you can't do that. That literally is an act of war. If he were to go and cut the hard lines, probably get one frick of a shock and stop sending power to the United States, that is an act of war. That is literally putting 1.5 million US citizens in danger. Because you don't know, like, we're talking like what, New York? I think it was New York, Michigan, Minnesota, all those states. We sell discounted hydro or discounted power in general, electricity in general, that we don't need, courtesy of a previous government that decided to put up a whole bunch of power generation and started creating a surplus and was like, shit, we don't need this power. I screwed up. By the way, that same administration also costed me my job at Ontario. Just gonna put that in there because of these dumb ideas of power generation. So all this electricity is being made. We can't use the surplus. So we cut a deal with the American administration. Hey, how about we drill this electricity across the border to your states and sell it to you guys at a fraction of the cost? And now Uncle Dougie is planning on pulling the friggin', you can't do that. You can't pull the plug. You can't endanger those people because, you know, there could be people on like life support or on stuff that electricity needs that keeps them alive, like oxygen machines and things like that. You can't just hard cut the power and be like, screw you guys, figure it out. You don't do that. Apparently, I don't know, I haven't been to the liquor store since what, freaking 2022. When I was with my ex, yeah, we drink, whatever. Everybody makes a mistake. I made two. But I haven't been to the liquor store since forever. Apparently they've pulled all American liquor off the shelves. Your Kentucky bourbons, I don't know, Jack Dagnalls, all that shit. She gone. And apparently I've been told American beer is gone too. Now, when I used to drink, my go-to was Michelob. Michelob Ultra to be precise. Low carb, pretty tasty, and if you pound it fast enough, you can get pretty wasted. I did a little Google search and discovered Michelob Ultra is American. So I don't know if they pulled that off the shelves. I almost want to go to a liquor store and see what's left. I don't think I can film in there, but I almost want to go in there and see what's left because I'm kind of curious. This whole ordeal is just so dumb. It's so dumb. Tell me you guys see this and you think it's so dumb. Like, I get the Canada First that Pierre Poilievre talks about. And a lot of it has nothing to do with Trump in the US. Literally, it's scrap the carbon tax. It's dumb. Lower income tax, because holy shit, income tax, we're getting, like in Canada, you buy a house, you pay taxes on it. You sell a house, you pay taxes on it. You own a house, you're paying a land tax. You work a job, you pay income tax. You go buy something at the store, you pay sales tax. You buy gasoline, you pay carbon tax. Oh, and they put a sales tax on a carbon tax. Taxing a tax is illegal, but they get away with it in Canada. That's cool, right? I thought so too. What else do we have taxes on? Holy shit. We have the capital gains tax, where if, let's say, I were to inherit over $500,000 through whatever, we're not going to get into any dark topics, but let's just say I inherit $500,000. Or I have investments, right? I do have investments. Let's say they accrue over $500,000 worth of interest this year. Guess what? I get taxed 65% of that inheritance. I get taxed 65% of that net value increase, that capital gain. Why? Because I just made that kind of money and the government feels entitled to it. So I lose 65% capital gains tax. Beautiful, right? Yeah. Let's say you sell your house and you don't buy another property because you're leaving the country. You sell your house for $800,000. Huh? Well, that's $800,000 of capital gains right there, bud. 65% of it goes right to taxes. Cute, right? Welcome to Canada. Holy shit. So the one thing Trump was right about was, yeah, Canada does pay a lot of taxes. We have taxes on taxes with taxes that tax. I get a water tax every month. I get friggin' taxed on my natural gas bill. I get taxed on the electricity bill. Wherever you go, you get a tax. Even when you, like, I'm paying into something called the Canadian pension, which everybody who works a job pays CPP, the Canadian Pension Plan, or whatever the hell it's called. When you go to claim that Canadian pension plan after you've retired, you don't get much, but you get something. They income tax it. So it's like, no matter what, the government's getting paid. All right, government's getting paid. You're just boned. But I love my northern town. I love being up here. Like, yeah, the winters suck balls, but the spring is not too bad. In the summer, the mosquitoes could probably carry you away and put you in their freaking nests. But I like the quietness, you know. When I go visit bloke in London, London's a freaking busy town, and it's gonna get busier with all the infrastructure coming in and all the housing and all that shit. It's gonna get more congested down there. And when I first get there, I'm happy. It's great. But then as we're driving around, going from fishing spot to fishing spot, and I see all the cars, I'm just like, yeah, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do this daily. I wouldn't want to do this daily. It's too nerve-wracking. Everybody's driving. People are cutting people off. So much construction. There's so many roads that are like bloke told me, the one road they're working on is a main road, and it's been out of commission now for 2 years because they're just so slow at getting it done. And I couldn't deal with that. I love my northern community. You know, it takes me 15 minutes to go from one end of town to the other. And that's the longest commute you're gonna have in this town. And we got a lot of shit here that'll keep you happy. You know, we got Walmarts, we got Giant Tigers, we got freaking grocery stores from all different chains, from No Frills to Metro to the Loblaws chains like Independent, which No Frills is a Loblaws chain. You know, you got the Fresh Co's, you got the freaking Food Basics. Like, we got all sorts of the grocery stores. We got a bunch of the foods. We also have the farmers markets for that organic feel. If you want to go to the farmers markets, highly recommended. You never know what you're going to see there, and chances are you're going to come across some freaking amazing treat that you're going to have and then never be able to find again. Trust me, been there, done that. Freaking drives me nuts. But I digress. The fact that we have so many options in this little town of 50,000 people, and traffic, like, the worst time for me in a traffic jam is I'm stuck at a light with 4 cars in front of me. Like, it's never bad. And it's like, I love that. I love the fact that it's quiet. Commutes are easy. There are a lot of bad drivers in town, don't kid yourself. That's only gotten worse since COVID. We all know why. But yeah, it's like, I just can't fathom a lot of the shit going on right now. Like, my mind is cooked. I just kind of want to shut down, but I had to get this off my chest because all this nonsense going on in the world. And what I don't get is Trudeau's resigning in a couple days. There's going to be a new asshole in his position that's going to ruin us even harder because that's what they do. So it's like Trudeau's going on talking about all this shit about how Canada needs to, like, elbows up and we're going to make it through it. Yet coming April 1st, the carbon tax is increasing. So if you thought the stresses of these tariffs and housing costs and all food costs and all that was bad, it's going to get worse, and it's our own government doing it to us, you know? Our own government caused the housing crisis. It wasn't Trump. He wasn't even in power then. Our own government created this carbon tax to fight a net neutral carbon emission. And they're putting the blame on a guy who's literally been president for not even it's been over a month. It's been over a month. January 20th is when he came in, and we're currently like freaking March, the 5th? Yeah. So yeah, it's been over a month. And they're putting the blame on a guy who's been in a job position for like 6 weeks. Like, give your freaking balls a tug, you tit fucker. Like, it's not his fault. There's been problems in Canada, nonstop. There's been drug problems in Canada nonstop. Holy shit, the amount of junkies I see downtown in North Bay just straight shooting up, smoking crack and all that. Frig sakes, boys. That bowling alley I go to every once in a while there, partners, right across the street, there's a meth den. People go over there, smoke meth. You'll see them in the parking lot scrapping, fighting over a friggin' needle or something. Who knows? It's nuts. It's nuts. North Bay is bad. There's lots of drugs in this town. The worst part is the cops know where they are. They just don't do anything about it because it's a waste of time. What do I mean it's a waste of time? Our judicial system is so cocked over. These people get picked up off the street brought into the police station, paper written, and rather being put in jail, they're literally turned around and sent back out into the wild to go commit more crimes. Shit's broken. Canada's broken. And then, while it's broken, our Liberals decide to go in prorogue parliament. What does that mean? Well, see, a parliamentary government system basically works like this. If it's a major government, like let's say the Liberals are the major leading, or the majority leading, I should say, they can make bills, and it requires literally every other party that has enough seats to turn around and say, no, we're challenging that. We're challenging that. But with a minority government, like right now we're in a minority liberal government. So Trudeau comes out and he's like, I want to initiate a carbon tax. And then the cons are like, no, that's stupid. We're not doing it. It's not happening. But then you got like the NDPs that's like, no, let's hear them out. Let's hear them out. Okay, what's going to happen here? Okay, that sounds good. I'm with you on that. Well, then the carbon tax comes into play. In the US, it's different. You have a president, a vice president. They call the shots. They make the executive orders. It works out. In Parliament, it's literally a bunch of guys sitting in a room arguing about stuff. It's great to watch. It's hilarious, some of the friggin' zingers that come out in there. But right now that zinger fest is on hiatus, and it has been since Trudeau announced he's resigning. Prorogued parliament, and until the Liberals can pick a new leader, we already know who it's going to be. It's going to be carbon tax Carney. Like, we already know that. The same guy who preaches about Canada first, but while he was still in control, or he was still part of the board of his friggin' company, BAM. It's an investing company worth trillions of dollars based out of Toronto, Ontario. He friggin' up and moved it to the US, into New York. So, and then he lies about it to our face. Oh no, I wasn't on the board when that happened. That happened after I left on January 15. Bro, it happened October 2024. You left January 15th, 2025. You're still part of the board. You knew what was going on. Don't lie to us. We can look at a calendar. We can think, we can see things like, holy shit, bud. Friggin' guy, I'm telling you. And this is going to be leading the Canadians. Like, people thought Trudeau was bad. Wait till you get a load of this guy. Because he can talk a smart game. Oh yeah, he can talk a smart game. He can influence people. He can influence smart people into being really dumb. And it blows my mind. Like, people who don't see through it. He's talking about, well, first thing I want to do is scrap the carbon tax. Okay, you're the reason why we have the carbon tax, bud. Hate to break it to you, but you're the one who suggested it to Trudeau. Like, oh, have you ever thought about making a carbon tax? Because then, you know, you can make some extra money in your pockets and you can use it to, like, fight climate change. Because Mother Nature really needs dollar bills, yo. Yeah, this video is long, I know. I'm sorry, but I'm on a rant right now and I can't help myself. Because I don't want to touch on this ever again on another video. I want to get back to my regularly scheduled program. But it's like, it blows my mind what's happening up here. And people are falling for it. Everybody's falling for it. This whole Canada versus US thing, citizens turning on citizens, people are falling for it. I hate it. I honestly hate it. At work today, I'm talking to a client and like, chutch it big time. I play with them all the time on on video games, and we stream together and stuff. And he sends me a picture from his state, which he got shit on with snow today. He got a whole bucket load of snow. He showed me, he's like, bro, whiteout, blizzard outside. What's it like up there in snow Mexico? And I'm like, bro, it's raining. The snow is melting. It's freaking raining. It's like plus 5 degrees centigrade outside and it's pissing rain. And because they're not sure if it was going to flash freeze, they cancel the buses. I'm like, but the roads are bare. I'm like, I'm wearing a winter jacket, which is the dumbest thing to be wearing today because you go outside with a winter jacket on, especially my forest camo winter jacket, and it literally soaks up the water and it soaks right through. And then now you're cold and wet. She's not exactly water resilient. I probably should spray something on that to make it water resilient. But anyway, not a big deal. I'm telling people, I'm like, oh yeah, my buddy down in the US and they got snow today and we didn't. He's like, yeah, they deserve it. And I'm like, for what? For what do they, why do they deserve the snow? For what? They don't. Like, quit being so petty. Like, quit being so petty. And that's the problem, is everybody's getting petty Everybody's getting all worked up over the shit the frickin' news is putting out there. And that's the worst part, is the frickin' news. 'Cause holy crap, they can spin stories and make whatever look worse. Like, you guys think in the US that your news networks are governed by the government. Canada's like, hold my beer and watch this. All of our news networks are governed by one government. And it's just whatever propaganda they want to spew down your throat, which is why I don't watch the news. I watch independent outlets. Because they don't broadside you with one direction. They come at you from all directions and let you think for yourself, versus feeding you bullshit and leaving stuff out to make one person look bad and the other person look like a hero. Anyway, I've been going on for a long time. I gotta stop because I'm gonna just get carried away with this. Guys, in the end, Canada, US, I'm even including Mexico in this, because who can't include Mexico? Those guys invented tacos, for crying out loud. Have you had a freaking taco? They're freaking fantastic, right? They're the best things ever. Like, we got to include Mexico. Sure, they got a drug problem down there. We have one up here. You guys in the US have drug problems, you know, between, we all have problems with drugs. Like, they're addictive. People do them. They die from them. What can be done? Whatever. But we just need to all respect each other. Push through all this government propaganda bullshit that's being thrown in our freaking faces daily. Stop booing each other's national anthems at hockey games. Holy frick, is that ever disrespectful? Give that a rest. And we got to help each other out. Our governments want to have these Sally fights. You know what I say? There's a YouTube channel online called Street Beefs. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. Literally, it's backyard street fights. We just got to get Trudeau and Trump in the ring. Trump's too old to fight. Put that Vance guy in. Trudeau and Vance, put them in the ring, glove up, 3 rounds, 3 minutes. When it's done, your turf is settled. The fight stays there. Just let them frickin' throw mitts for 9 minutes. Why not, right? Wouldn't that make for an amazing... Would you guys pay to see that pay-per-view? Like, president versus prime minister? Wouldn't you guys pay a lot of money to see that? Wouldn't that be an amazing revenue-generating event to, I don't know, solve whatever problem they're fighting over? I think it's fentanyl, imported from China. Mind you, we did have that huge super lab out in BC that produced enough fentanyl to knock out twice the population of Canada. Sure, there's a bunch more of those kicking around in Canada, US, and Mexico. Holy piss. But anyway, I digress. I think that pay-per-view would sell out. It would be like, you thought Mike Tyson, Jake Paul made friggin' Netflix all glitchy? You put that shit on Netflix? Netflix ain't recovering. Server gonna melt. All the scrap steel the US can use for other stuff. I'm just saying. Like, a pay-per-view of that caliber would be astronomical. Jake Paul could never compete. Mind you, he'd probably try and get involved in it. He'd be like, oh yeah, I'll take you both on. I'm Jake Paul, you know? I'll take on Trump and Trudeau same time because I'm Jake Paul. I went to Japanese forest and caused ad wars in 2018. I'm Jake Paul. But anyway, I digress. Thanks for watching, guys. Once again, be respectful of one another. Fuck what the governments are doing, you know? They're trying to start some conflict between us. We gotta look through it. We gotta see through this. We gotta see through the smoke. It's bullshit. It's dumb. I hate it. It's got to go away. Until next time, guys, live it to win it, be respectful, and pace the freak out. Sit, stupid, sit. Good dog.